You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for your successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast. And today I delve again into this area because it's an area that I feel like I'm always behind the eight ball with, and that is marketing. And joining me for this conversation is Marcus Biggs of Smile Marketing. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me, Julie.
That is my pleasure. But marketing is an area, you must get a lot of clients contacting you saying, I really don't kind of know what I need to do. I don't know what sort of results I'm supposed to get and how much money to spend, but I know it's all pretty foreign to me. Is that still a big barrier for clients nowadays?
Look, certainly. I think marketing probably, as time rolls on, gets more and more complicated. But really, at the end of the day, there's probably certain key areas that if you focus your time and attention in those areas, that's where you'll tend to get the results.
And the kind of marketing that Smile Marketing helps out with, initially, the website obviously, but also all the social media, reviews, SEO, paid ads. Have I left anything off that list?
Look, we basically do it all. So I guess a good way to think of us is we're a one-stop shop, and we specialise in doing websites and the ongoing digital marketing for dental practices. So we will build a high-converting website to get you, online, and then we will look at how do we drive new patient leads to that website, whether it's organic, paid, socials, how to make the most of your existing patient database, through emails, that sort of thing. It really, comes back to the practice, where they're at in their growth cycle, and what their goals are in terms of the sort of levers that we need to pull, but we effectively do it all.
Yeah, because it raises a good point, because every dental practice will want to achieve different things. If it's a brand new practice that wants to establish some sort of community awareness that they're even there, they often want to have bookings going into a schedule before they've even opened the doors, really, which is a smart thing to do. And then you've got more established practices that may be introducing new practitioners or new services that they want to tell everybody about, but then all the way to the other end of the spectrum too, where these practices have been around for decades and decades. They've got quite a healthy patient base. What they do hasn't actually really changed much in the past few years, but they have recognised there's a need for a presence to be had there too. And so it does become quite an area to be customised.
Yeah, look, 100%. And that's why you've got to start at that point of where the business is at and what the goals are, and that then drives, the strategy. There are, from a marketing perspective, some key strategies that will help you to either grow the business or at least maintain it where it's at. I mean, there's no such thing, I think, with a business in terms of sitting still. It's even if it's a business that's been around for years, it's predominantly referral based. You still need to get an influx of new clients through the door. People will leave, move away, pass away. There does need to be an element of driving new patient growth. It just depends how aggressive you need to be at that in terms of where you are. Like you said, whether it's a brand new practice that's opening its doors with nothing to work with, or whether you're a practice that's been around for 20 years, you've got a database of 10,000 patients on the book, and you're comfortable with where you're at, but you just want to potentially you might be focusing on more of some of the higher end sort of treatments, for example. So that really does drive, the strategy at the end of the day.
Yeah. So coming from point number one, that website. Now, I still look at many, many websites in my work, and it is. I looked at the ones on your website, Smile Marketing. Is smilemarketing.com. Yeah, smilemarketing.com. You've got a beautiful range of websites, and I was clicking into them all this morning, and they really do look fabulous. But as a outsider looking into a bunch of websites, when I am researching a particular practice, it is astounding how many of them they're not terribly engaging. You can't really see a point of difference with them, and it seems like it was just to get the website up and running and then possibly even forgotten for a number of years. What is your assessment? Websites have been around for a long, long time. Why are we still, so many practices, kind of missing the mark?
It's a good question. I think it's an area that's easily overlooked in terms of the importance. Um, I, honestly, I don't know necessarily why that is. But look, at the end of the day, the website will be one of the most important assets that the business will have. I mean, it really is the center point for all your marketing efforts for the business. Anything you do from a marketing perspective is going to be driving either existing patients or new patients to that website. So it really needs to be geared up, I guess, to engage with those patients as best as possible. So I guess the way that we look at it, you want to have a high converting website. So you want to have a website that takes somebody who's landing on the website with no previous sort of interaction with your practice whatsoever and turns that into an inquiry, whether that's a booking, whether it's a phone call, whatever it is. But that is effectively the outcome that you're looking to drive. To do that, there's a number of factors that make for an effective website, for a high converting website. Um, and I guess I'll run through the main ones anyway. We could spend all day on this. But look, one of the first things that we see with websites is the use of stock imagery. So as soon as someone lands on the website, the first thing they're going to see is that header. And there's nothing worse than seeing a stock image. Having professional photography that you've done in the practice with the team, the treatment rooms, it instantly builds an emotional connection with people who've, again, never had any interaction with you before. So that imagery is really powerful.
I'm really pleased that you said that, Marcus, because it is extraordinary to me. What that website, in essence, is doing is saying this is what it's going to be like when you come in as a patient. And so we're going to
100%.
show you a whole series of photographs of our surgery and our team members. And when you come in, you won't see any of it. You'll see something quite different. And it feels like it could be a trust breaker from day one.
Look, 100%. And that's exactly what it is. It's all about that trust. And especially with, I guess, a service such as dentistry, that trust is really critical. There's a lot of people that have reservations and worries about visiting a dentist. One of the best ways that you can try and build that bridge, build that emotional connection immediately is to have that photography. Whereas if you contrast that with, say, your stock imagery, it shows nothing, and people know that that's not a representation of the business, the team. There is nothing there to build any form of trust whatsoever. So having that photography really is a key piece, though, I guess, having a website that's going to work well for you.
Yeah, that's it. What are the other important elements for a website?
Look, once you've got the photography, look, certainly then the copy. It's very important for a number of reasons to have unique, interesting, engaging copy on the website. Look, both from a viewpoint of, I guess, giving prospective patients the information that they need, but also from the perspective of ranking well on Google, so that if someone is looking for a dentist locally, that your website is ideally popping up in the top results. Ideally number one, but look, top three certainly is where you want to be sitting. So having that unique, engaging, it might be entertaining copy is a really critical feature as well. Navigation is another commonly overlooked, I guess, factor in terms of how well people interact with your website. Is it clear right from the get-go what the path is that patient needs to take to get the information that they want? Is the menu set out in a way that's easy to use? Typically, people will be coming through your homepage. Are there clear pathways of navigation for them to find the information that they're after about whatever that relevant service is? And then, is it then easy for them to contact you? Are there online booking available? Is it easy to find? Is it easy to contact you? Is the phone number available? The address? Those sorts of things are really critical. And it sounds very simple. I know none of this is sort of rocket science, but it generally, most of the time, it's getting the foundations right, getting the basics right, and all working together that actually give you that foundation for success going forwards.
That's it. And I've seen a couple of websites that have gone a little bit too groovy, and you can't find the menu. And you're like, I don't know how
Yeah,
to navigate through this site.
yeah,
And so it is about making it as easy as possible and as intuitive as possible as well. And you're talking about the content before. This is one of the areas where I find in a lot of websites, the services list, for example. You click
Yes.
into, aesthetics or Invisalign or whatever, and it's pretty stock standard stuff. It's whatever you'd find on the very basic of brochures around those services. And I was impressed because when I looked through your gallery of websites, and I didn't look through every single one, but the 3 or 4 that I did look at, the way you've described the services is in a more engaging way, like interesting things about tooth grinding, rather than just this is what tooth grinding is and this is the service that we provide around that. Because we do want to make sure that the content isn't just informative, but as you mentioned before, it's engaging, and that's a completely different way of getting stuff in that site.
Yeah, 100%. And look, the process that we take to do that, and what we've found has worked really well over the years, is to do a content interview. So in order to get that unique content, to try and get, I guess, the flavour or the essence of your business, is to sort of go through, I guess, a series of questions and find out, how would you as a dental practitioner explain things to clients? What is different about maybe the way or the way you approach it, or the way that you do things that patients may not be aware of? What are some of the frequently asked questions that you would typically get, the main concerns, queries that you get all the time? And it's getting that information from the practitioner themselves that we can then create content that is not just unique, which is great from a Google perspective, but it's going to be valuable to your patient demographic. And it's going to answer the key questions that they've got. It's going to give them a sense of, I guess, trust that they, I guess, have a greater understanding of how you do things and the processes that you take before they have to pick up the phone and call you or book in. So it is, again, another factor in terms of sort of building that trust and authority, is having that unique, valuable content.
It's interesting because Nerissa Bentley, who is the health writer, she helps people get content for their online presence that's all compliant to APRA, to make sure that it's all compliant. And I think I'm right when she said that the content should be written so a grade sixer could understand it. And often we are writing content for our dental websites that's way above the head of the average person reading that, because they have no idea of dental jargon, etc.
Yeah, and I think that is an issue. And I think as dentists in general, I mean, obviously they're very good at what they do. They spend a lot of time learning about it. There's a high degree of interest, passion, all that behind it. They either have a tendency of wanting to share or delve too deeply into it. But for the average person who has a sore tooth or needs a checkup and clean or wants to bring their child in, you really do have to tailor that content at that level. If you do want to delve more deeply into it, then look, there's other avenues for doing that. You might do blogging, for instance, on the website or other bits and pieces. But for most people, especially in this day and age, people are busy. They really are. When they're landing on your website, they want to know just a couple of things, I guess. Can you help them with whatever the issue that they have, or the treatment that they're looking for? Do they like the look of you? Do they feel, I guess, a sense of trust or comfort in terms of wanting to take it further and book in or give you a call? That's kind of it. And you do that, like I said, through all these bits and pieces on the website. It really is a representation of your practice just online.
Yeah, that's it. And the amount of care and attention that we put into the interior design, the landscaping out the front, the big sign out the front saying this is who we are. We are trying to portray an image, a brand of ourselves. So we are attracting people into the practice that we want to look after. And that's right, the website's the extension of that. And quite often with the website, it is something they say, we've done the website now, full stop, don't have to worry about that again. But it is something that does need to evolve. May I ask, with the element of engagement that we do really want to have people, because I will ask you the question, how long do people generally hang around on a website for and how can we increase that? Is there a higher degree of engagement if we have a bunch of videos? And so with every services page, should we then have a video of the practitioner themselves saying, this is what Invisalign is, for example?
Look, In an ideal world, yeah, look, 100%. Video is a fantastic format. I guess what we find is that we see a resistance on the behalf of practitioners to want to get necessarily on video. Some more than comfortable doing it, a lot aren't. And also, I guess, have the time to put aside to do it. But if you're wanting people to stay on the website, if you're looking at, again, creating some sort of emotional connection, then video is a fantastic way to do it. I mean, like we said, we talked about photography. That's a static image. Video is then taking it that next level up. If you can get to the point where you've got video content on each of your service pages, so you should have, and that's another thing that we see, websites where they will have all the services listed on one page, and there'll be a short little snippet. You really do need to have an individual service page for each specific service that you provide. So whether it's Invisalign, implants, checkup and clean, children's dentistry, you need to have a specific page for that details all the information that a prospective patient would need. Should have clear calls to action in terms of what they should do next. Booking online, give you a call, book in for a free consultation. And the other reason why you need to have individual pages is you want to make sure that you're ranking for people who are searching for those services locally. So if you don't have, I guess if someone is locally searching for children's dentist, then the pages that Google will promote to the top will be a specific page on a dental website that is devoted to children's dentistry in that local area. So it's a really key piece. Again, it's easy to overlook. Simple stuff, but it does have a very big impact in terms of making sure that people locally can find you, and then you're giving them that relevant information and making it easy for them to take that next step, which is to contact you or to book in.
Yeah, and you really, I mean, you're indicating for one, I should have just spent just one episode talking about websites and another episode talking about, I've still got so many questions in my head, but you are indicating with that how the website's not a standalone thing. It does tie into SEO and these other elements that you help dental practices with.
Yeah, 100%. So the website, I guess, is that central hub. That's where most of your marketing, whether it's online or offline, is going to be directing people to your website for more information or to book in. So having that foundation set up properly is critical. You know, making sure that your website does a good job of taking a person landing on it into someone who's never seen you before into an actual inquiry, converting that traffic or that lead, that visitor into an actual lead, is the whole purpose of having that website. So it's critical to have that piece.
Because patients don't just scan dental practice websites like I do.
No.
They're on that site because, for a reason, they've got a question that they're looking for the answer, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. So if you get that foundation set up well, then a good percentage of those people landing on the website should then be contacting you and booking in. So that's, converting them into leads and ultimately patients. I guess the next piece of that is, well, look, how do we get more people to the website? And there's a number of ways that you can do that. Look, the main one that people would look at would be search. And that's a key one. Again, for a dental business, you have a physical location. You're within a suburb. There's only so far that patients will travel to see you. So for the majority of people, when they're looking for a dentist, doctor, chiropractor, they will be searching for that service and that local suburb. There's two ways that you can be found. You can be found organically. So that's the free search with Google, where Google will put you somewhere in the search results, or you can pay to sit at the top of the search results. So that's your Google ads. So they're the two key ways from a search perspective that people locally will find you.
Wonderful, wonderful. And when we're looking at, we're restricted here in this country in terms of Google reviews and being able to have them actually on the website itself. The relevance of Google reviews is really quite high. I've heard recently that people trust a Google review over a friend's review.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that one, but that's fascinating. But they definitely are critical. It's a good point. Look, certainly in Australia with APRA, it does make things tricky. That said, it's understanding what you can and can't do with regards to to reviews. Look, patients are welcome to leave whatever review and say whatever they like on Google, and there's really not much that you or APRA can do about it. That's Google is an entirely separate beast. The issue typically crops up when you want to use that review in your marketing to promote your services. You can do it, but it is walking a little bit of a fine line. There are reviews that would be okay from an APRA perspective, and there's clearly reviews that are not. Generally, a review that is more customer service focused should generally be fine from an APRA perspective. So if someone has left a review saying, look, wonderful friendly staff, easy parking, always on time, love this practice, that should not be an issue from an APRA perspective. Obviously, you're not going to put a review up that talks about how a patient came in horrendous pain, disfigured teeth, and they were fantastically happy with the outcome and left pain-free and singing your praises. That's going to get you into issues with APRA. So there are the ability to use reviews. You just have to be very careful about how you do it.
And I would imagine that there would be nothing wrong, even from an APRA perspective, to actually, APRA don't like us asking our patients for Google reviews in terms of before and after, and the clinical experience. However, the clinical outcomes. However, to be able to give your patients just can you answer these 3 questions? How easy is it to access this practice, and what's the customer service like, and what are the team members like in terms of their treatment of you that is non-clinical, and actually help guide your patients, deliver a review to you that you can actually start using on your website, in your marketing, etc.
Yeah, exactly. So there are ways you can do that, and you can try and increase the number of reviews that you're getting, I guess. And you hit the nail on the head. It's really focusing around that customer service component rather than the treatment component. The reality is, whether we like it or not, reviews are they're a critical part of being able to grow your business today, especially as dental practitioners. So it is something that you do need to look at. You just need to find, I guess, a way of doing it compliantly, and a way that you also feel comfortable with as well. What one practice may be comfortable doing, another practice won't. So there is a degree of, I guess, personal comfort there as well. But if you sort of stick to those rough guidelines, you should be fine. The social proof element is huge. Like you said, people look at the Google reviews. They look at both the total number of reviews and the average rating, and then they'll have a quick flick through and get a sense of, I guess, people's experiences in your practice before they pick up the phone or jump through to your website. But they're also important from a ranking perspective as well. So, we talk about ranking on Google. There's a few ways you can rank on Google. But you can rank on Google in the search results, but you can also rank on Google Maps. So for Google Map ranking, reviews are a key factor in how well you will rank on Google Maps. So having more 5-star reviews will generally help how you rank on maps.
Can you have too many reviews? Am I just an old woman who's skeptical and say, how did they get 3,000 reviews? They obviously paid for them.
It's a good question. You do see that. I've seen practices that have got 400 plus, reviews, absolutely, demolishing the competition in that regard. I haven't read anything or come across anything that would suggest that that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think it's what you need to be shooting for. Look, if you can do that, terrific. I think people reading through will get a sense pretty quickly whether they're authentic or not. The odd negative review, no one likes getting a negative review, but it's not a bad thing if you've got a negative review in there, because invariably there'll be people that won't be happy for a multitude of reasons. Look, at the end of the day, we would like to see, if you could be sitting, double the number of reviews of your local competitors. So if most dentists locally have maybe 20 reviews, if you're sitting at 30 or 40, that will certainly give you an edge. Again, when people are looking and they see the top results. It'll normally be the 3 results at the top of the search results. If you're looking for a dentist in whatever suburb you're in, there'll be a couple of ads at the top, so people paying to be there. You'll then have the local pack, the top 3 search results on maps, and they will very clearly show you the number of reviews and the average star rating. And based on that, people will look at those factors and determine which of those businesses they want to click on first, to see whether or not it meets the criteria that they're after. And look, having a good number of reviews and obviously a high ranking, you don't want to be sitting there with an average of 3.7 stars when the competitors are all sitting at 4.8 or above. That's going to do you damage. But yeah, if you focus on that, like I said, do it in a compliant way, it will certainly help.
And if you've got the average 3.7, it makes me feel uncomfortable. You can do something about that as a practice, and I think it's an enormously helpful exercise to go through to say, well, let's get a whole bunch of reviews. Let's try to get great reviews around our customer service and the way we help patients feel non-clinically at this practice. What are we going to introduce? And then we're going to start asking for a few of those reviews as well, because it's going to naturally raise your standard as a practice and get more authentic people talking about you to their friends and family, and trigger that word of mouth on top of everything else as well. Quite often we see these local community hubs, Facebook groups that just are for a particular suburb and surrounds, and you type in the word dentist there and have a look at what other practices, possibly not yours, that are coming up in that feed, and what those patients are talking about when it comes to that. And just recently I did a search, and so many people in that little community hub that on previous threads of conversation were saying, you have to go to this practice because they made my child feel so comfortable, and start to recognise what people want out there.
Yeah, 100%. Reviews are incredibly powerful. They really are. And look, I guess we had a laugh at, a 3.7 average review, but unfortunately you will see that, and it'll generally be the practices that have not focused on reviews at all, will only have a handful of reviews, and you just need that one patient to come in with unrealistic expectations, who will jump online and leave a bad review. I've seen a number of instances where they've got their friends involved, and they've left 2 or 3 negative reviews, and it has just demolished the online reputation straight away. And the only way that you can really protect yourself from that is to make sure that you've got a sizable base of positive reviews to effectively balance out or cancel out the negative ones, which you will invariably get at some point. If you haven't yet, it's coming, unfortunately, at some point.
Yeah, that's right. It's all part of it, isn't it? And an element, and you just highlight again what we were speaking about before, just recognising that your website, your branding, your online presence, the advertising, all the things that you do, what that is all doing on a subconscious even base level for patients is letting them know what your expectations should be coming to us. So make sure that what that message that you're putting out there is what you are delivering inside that practice. Otherwise, you are setting yourself up to fail. You're saying you can expect this because look at these stock photos. This is the kind of practice that we have. And you walk and you go, it's looking pretty old and shabby. All of a sudden, I'm instantly disappointed and my expectations have been dashed. And so just recognize that relevance of what you're putting out there to the world when they come through your front door. That's exactly what they're going to experience, or they'll experience better than that.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
So in the terms of so we can, without spending money on online presence, just with SEO, just with the way that website's constructed and how many reviews we've got, so Google Maps is playing a role in that as well, we can put ourselves higher in that Google search. We don't always have to pay for it, but when we pay for it, that's a paid ad. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. And look, again, it comes back to your practice, and it comes back to your goals. Look, for a lot of the practices that we deal with, it's not always necessary that you need to worry about doing the paid ads. In a lot of instances, just making sure that your business is ranked highly enough organically will make sure that enough people locally are finding you. And again, if the website does a good job of turning those visitors into inquiries and bookings, then that might be perfectly adequate for your needs. If you get the website ranking highly enough in Google and you are picking up a lot of that free traffic, that organic traffic, and you are still looking at growing your business further, that's the point where you need to start looking at paying for Google ads. There's a limit as to how far reach Google is going to allow you to pop up top of the search results, or say top 3. They know exactly where your practice is, they know where the person searching for a dentist is, and they know where all the competitors are. So the further that person is away, the lower down the results are going to be. There's a lot of promises that are made around SEO in terms of what's achievable. There are some very hard limits when it comes to that. So there will be a limit as to how well you can pop up top of the results for free. When that happens, then Google Ads are by far the best way to go. All they do is they immediately bump you to the top of the search results, and it just allows you to spread that net a little further wider than what you could for free with the organic side of things. But again, it depends on the business as to whether that's something that you need to be looking at or not, but it's definitely a good option.
And it does depend on so many things, and I'm of that mindset. I just love to have clear answers around things because it would make me feel so comfortable. So I know that my next question, it does depend on a whole range of different things. But what is the kind of return on investment? What kind of results and how quickly should we be getting results if we're just all of a sudden focusing on SEO and building all of that up? And then how much more does that jump up when we've got paid ads?
Yeah. Okay, that's a tough one to answer. Like you said, the honest answer to that is, it really does depend. It depends on your starting point. So if you're a brand new business with a brand new domain, a brand new website, starting from scratch in a highly competitive area against a multitude of competitors that have been around for years, then it will take time to build that up. Look, anyone that tells you that SEO is going to be working quickly is frankly lying to you. It does take time. You need to build the trust with Google. Google aren't going to automatically bump you straight to the top of the search results just because that's what you want. There's no magic bullet to doing that. There's different ways you can do it. There's definitely people out there that will use black hat techniques, ways to try and game the system and get you higher up the results. But invariably, Google comes along every so often and cracks down on that, and then you'll get basically punished. So you want to work within the framework of, I guess, how Google likes to work, and that it does take time. Look, to answer it, it can be as little as a few months before you start to see some good results, and that's whether it's a new practice or an existing practice. When we build a new website, we have our SEO team do a thorough audit to begin with, look at what we need to do to set things up correctly, and then they fairly heavily monitor that over the first 90 days to make sure that it's tracking the way that we would want it to track. But I would say, look, if you're looking at improving your rankings, look, you certainly want to give it a number of months. In some cases, it might be as little as a couple of months. If you've been around a while and the changes that need to be made are relatively simple, and the competition levels aren't overly competitive. In other instances, look, it might take 6 to 12 months. It's a really hard one to answer. It's going to be very much case by case. I know that doesn't help, but
I knew that would be the answer, but you've still given me some direction, which is good.
Yeah, and look, we have a team there that can look at that. So if clients or people who are interested want to know, we can take a look and go, well, look, here's where you're sitting. Here's what the competitors you're up against. Here's a rough time frame. We will never make promises around SEO because we can't. But we will give you as informed an opinion as what we can around the realities of, look, how long is it going to take?
You've got a really strong team too. I was impressed with the amount of faces are on your website helping.
Yeah, we have about 80, a team of about 80 people globally. So we've got clients in Australia, New Zealand, the US. Like I said, we've got a good sized SEO team. So yeah, there's a lot of expertise there.
You're on top of it,
We are.
When it comes to our social pages, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the things, how relevant is that? Are dental patients looking, I think, I don't know, I'm old, and so Facebook is the thing. I still don't fully understand Instagram. People laugh at my Instagram posts because they're not effective. And LinkedIn, I feel like that's more of a corporate space, and so not necessarily for dental. But then we've got TikTok and all the other things. Do we actually need a social media presence for our dental practices?
Yeah, and again, great questions and great points. Look, the answer to that would be yes, you should have a social media presence. Again, it's going to depend on how you utilize that, and that's going to be very dependent from practice to practice. At a basic level, you should have an Instagram page, a Facebook page, especially for younger demographics. They're sometimes more inclined to check you out on the social media profiles first before they'll check out the website. It's almost a pseudo website these days. So you do want to have a profile. You do want to have some regular posting on there. You know, the last post shouldn't have been from 4 months ago. Otherwise, it gives the impression that potentially you're no longer around in business. So from that perspective, yeah, you do want to have those profiles. As to whether it's going to drive new patient leads, that for me is the critical question. I think whenever you put a post up on social media, generally only about 2 to 3% of your followers will actually get shown the post. And the reason for that is that Facebook Meta, they want businesses to pay to get in front of people. So if the expectation is to be putting up a few posts a week and picking up a lot of new patients, then I think generally speaking, you're going to be pretty disappointed. As a tool for, like I said, as an engagement point for people coming into the business, as a platform for building rapport and community with your existing patients, then it's a great platform for that. If you're looking to drive new patients with it, yes, that can be highly effective, but you're going to have to pay to play. You will need to be running ads on Facebook, Instagram, etc. In terms of content, again, it's tricky. The best content is always going to be content that you create in-house. It's going to be giving those glimpses of what it's like, what the team are like, showing that personality and making some sort of emotional connection. That will always be the best content. Unfortunately, the reality with that is you need to have somebody in the practice who can take ownership of that, who's social media savvy to do that. And for good content, it can take a while. So it's really weighing up that cost benefit in terms of how deeply you dive into that. Look, for the majority of dentists, just having that base level of, I guess, social media presence would be typically sufficient. For those that, and look, there's certainly those that are far more media savvy. Again, I don't want to discriminate, but it tends to be the younger dentists. Then, and if that's something that they're comfortable doing and they're getting the ROI on it, then great. I don't think it should be something that you feel that you have to do to that level. Again, it's horses for courses. You've got to look at what outcome you're looking to drive and what's going to be the best way to do that.
And it's interesting, I have participated in interviews with potential new team members with applicants to dental practices over the last few years. The trend that I'm finding is they say, I looked at your social pages to see what kind of practice it would be like to work for. So kind of broaden that perspective out again a little bit more for the dental practices, that potentially it's not just for your existing patients or attracting new patients. It could possibly be part of your recruitment process too. Like, what a fun place it is to work here.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. So from that perspective, and especially from what I understand, it's still very difficult to get, from an employment perspective, good quality team members on board. Then that's certainly another benefit.
Yeah. So with all of this space, when you are actually, just going back one step, with the Facebook ads, Instagram ads, when you're actually paying for the kind of ads, are you finding there's conversion of patients there as well? And that would be certainly a demographic thing. I don't buy anything on Facebook, I don't think. Whereas younger people, I think they buy lots of things on Facebook or on Instagram, not even Facebook. They think, Facebook is for the oldies. And so really recognising who your ideal patient is for whatever service you're promoting at that time is key. But when we're paying for boosting ads and things like boosting posts and things like that. Are we seeing any impact? I look at a lot of social media pages for dental practices and all their posts, there's 0 likes. It's just a kind of a routine
Yeah.
of doing it.
Look, again, look, it's like a lot of things. It comes down to individual circumstances. Facebook and Instagram ads can be very effective. I've seen a number of cases where they've been, highly effective in terms of driving new patient leads through the business. But then in other cases where there just wasn't the ROI on it. It comes down to a number of factors. So it comes down, I guess, sorry, if I take it back a step, I guess the thing to understand when you're looking at paying for leads, paying for new patients that come through the door, your 2 key options are Google ads, and then you've got your Facebook, Instagram ads on socials. Google ads will generally be more expensive, but there is a lot higher intent there. You are popping up in front of people who are searching for your services. And for that reason, you pay a lot more per click, but you would also expect a greater percentage of those to go through into an inquiry and booking. With Facebook and Instagram, people aren't on there for the ads. They're flicking through updates with friends, what's happening. It's interruption marketing. So for that to be effective, it helps to have a highly compelling offer. So it needs to be something that's going to get people to stop the scroll, stop and take notice, and then put their details in exchange for whatever the high value offer is. What we typically find with Facebook and Instagram ads is you'll generate a higher number of leads off the back of them. Normally the ads that our team, we have a team that run the paid ads, will run as lead gen ads. So it will be an offer and there'll be a form to complete your details. And that then triggers an email through to the practice to ideally follow that person up as quickly as possible. The success of it generally revolves around how quickly the practice can follow up with that lead. And again, because it's interruption marketing, they aren't specifically looking for that service. You will get a much greater mixed bag of leads in there. There'll be some phenomenal leads in there that are ready to go. There'll be other people that you will follow up 2 or 3 times and you won't hear back from. So as long as you're prepared for that, then yes, it can work very well. It can be very cost effective, but it might just require a little bit more follow up on behalf of the practice to get that person booked in. But I've seen cases where it's worked incredibly well. But again, they've had a strong offer. They've been quick to get back to those leads and book them in. And then again, it's, I guess, the ability of, once you've got a person in the chair, your ability to then convert that into a paying client.
Beautiful. And it kind of, that lends itself into the next point, which is quite often we become quite biased with our website content, with the way we structure our online presence. It's all about getting new patients. But we want to make sure that we're still nurturing the relationships we have with our current patients as well. Is that another aspect that can be laid into the design of all these different areas? Because one of the other services that you offer is email marketing to your existing email list.
Yeah. Look, 100%. And again, for a brand new business opening up, you will not have that benefit of having an existing patient database. But for a practice that's been in business for 5, 10, 20 years, they could have a database of 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 patients. It's common that practices will overlook the value of that asset, that existing patient database, and their focus will be predominantly on acquiring new patients. Like I said, there always needs to be an element of bringing new patients into the practice, but where your business will be built is going to be the retention and ongoing service of that existing patient base. And that's where a lot of the opportunities for those other more high-end treatments will generally come from, will be that patient base. So nurturing that patient base is critical. Email is a phenomenal tool for being able to do that. For one, it's free. There's no cost for you to send an email out to your patient database. But generally the mistake that we see is that, again, a lot of practices are busy. They don't necessarily have the resources in-house to be doing this themselves. And the only email correspondence that they're sending out is going to be a 6-monthly recall for a checkup and clean. You're missing a massive opportunity there. we advocate a few different things from an email perspective. A monthly e-newsletter is incredibly valuable tool to have, for a few different reasons. One, it's providing value. You can provide hints, tips, advice on a monthly basis out to your existing patients. There's not a sales agenda behind it. It's purely a value add. It's I guess building again your trust, your authority, rapport. It's giving without asking for anything necessarily in return. It's also a reminder that pops up in your email once a month from your practice, which they are not thinking about from day to day. It's only if an issue pops up or they get a recall that they're, I guess, thinking about the dental side of things. I mean, people are busy, so that monthly little reminder in the email box with some value-added content is incredibly important. Whether they open the email or not, they will still see it there. Generally, we'll see 20, 30, 40% open rates on a monthly newsletter, which is not too bad at all. And I have even seen higher. But again, it's monthly. There'll be that little message from the practice in their inbox. It acts as a really nice, subtle reminder. Hey, I haven't been in to get a checkup and clean for 12 months. I probably should call these guys. So the monthly newsletter is really valuable. The other sort of email marketing is, I guess, more opportunistic. So, looking at opportunities throughout the year to educate and, I guess, provide information and offers around the other services that you provide as a dentist. Now, that could be a range of things. It could be promoting, free consultation around implants or veneers for those that might be interested. It might be simply just telling patients about the CVBS scheme and how they potentially are eligible for $1,000 worth of free dental treatment for their kids that they may not otherwise be aware of. End of the year, we find, as you sort of get into November, December, most health funds are going to reset their benefits typically on the 1st of January. It's a great time to be reminding patients with private health, if you haven't used your benefits, get in before the end of the year. Certainly get in before Christmas and when it's busy or the practice is shut down. There's lots of opportunities, Mother's Day, Father's Day offers to engage and, again, offer other services that you provide or just, again, find other ways to provide value add. So email is phenomenal. And like I said, it's free. It costs you absolutely nothing other than your time to do that.
Two things. Brilliant what you said, whether they open it or not. It's still leaving an impression of some kind in their brain. I hadn't even considered that. And so when I look at my open rates for my emails, I'm like, oh, how can it be higher? And what can I do to make it higher? But that's right. There's still value in just appearing in that thread of emails. I love that. So thank you for that. That's very, very good. The other aspect of it too, with these regular newsletters that go out, as a dental practice, really start to recognize what you are doing to improve things all the time that you wouldn't naturally think I'm going to pop that in the newsletter, for example. Or if you didn't have a newsletter, I wouldn't naturally then tell all my patients about this. So, for example, if one of the practitioners was notoriously running late all the time and they had a patient survey or a couple of patients complained about it and steps were taken to help resolve that, have that as a subject line. Here are the steps that we're taking to stop running late or start running on time. And those sort of, that sort of key information about, we've added we've added Afterpay as a payment plan now. All these little things are enormously compelling. For one, your existing active patient base are like, yep, I'm part of an organisation that's continually improving, and that subconscious perception of them is that they're professional. But we don't know the patients that are leaving out the back door quite often unless we start looking further into reports, etc., and having a period of time go past where we go, oh, that person's not coming back again. But we are still appearing in their email thread. And if the reason, for example, this patient left and went to your competition was because you kept running late, and they get an email after 2 years saying this is what steps we're taking to start running on time, you could think, oh gosh, it was more convenient there. They're just around the corner. I might go back again because the reason I left is no longer there. And practices quite often, because it's a big task, they don't go through a patient reactivation process of patients that haven't been back for a period of time. But having these regular emails go out to the whole list, not so frequently that they're unsubscribing because you're a pain in the neck to keep seeing that email popping up. You may not be opening them, but if it's coming into your inbox once a month, that's no big deal. You're not going to unsubscribe from that. But what you are doing, in essence, is always having a reactivation campaign going on.
Yeah. And the point around the reactivation campaign is a great one. I haven't touched on it because, again, with all of these topics, we can go, I guess, so much deeper. But that's another great channel for email. If you, through your practice management software, can segment patients you have not seen in, say, for example, over 2 years, then you might decide that you want to put together a special package for them to entice them back in for a checkup and clean or whatever it might be, and then utilize email to distribute that. So there's so many ways in which email, you hear a lot of things about email being dead. It's not dead. Like I said, there's no silver bullet or magic bullet to any of this. There will be different mediums that will connect with different demographics of people out there, and you really do need to be utilizing a number of those to get the benefits in terms of growing your business. And yeah, look, email is fantastic. Look, with the newsletter and those sorts of things, look, if you can do it in-house, that's great, and make it really personalized. What we do for our clients is we create effectively a white label newsletter every month. So it goes out on effectively the banner head of the practice, and we've got hints, tips, articles, short little reads that are done for them. So effectively they get a draft 5 days before it goes out. If they're happy with it, they do nothing. If they don't want to send it, they just basically suspend it, and that just gets sent out on your behalf. So there are ways of making that, I guess, process easier and more time effective.
Because it's busy at a practice, isn't it?
It's incredibly
We're all
busy.
busy doing all the things. I don't have time for newsletters as well. So from that marketing perspective, the digital marketing, online marketing perspective, of course, the next big step to make sure you are getting as strong a return on investment, time, energy as possible is to make sure that your practice is ready to receive all of these inquiries and actually convert them into appointment times in the book. And that's training the team, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And look, and that's an element that unfortunately we can't help with. I'm sure there's other people out there that can certainly help with.
Who else apart from Andrew? Thank you.
help with that element. And that's it. Look, at the end of the day, look, we can set up a high converting website. We can drive traffic through to it. We can get people calling the practice. For things like Google Ads, we'll set up call tracking, so we can listen to the calls that are coming in off the back of a Google ad to hear, is it good quality, and I guess has it resulted in a booking at the end of the day. But we can also listen for call quality, and again, it's the simple things, but how quickly is the call picked up? How adequate is the person that's picked it up in terms of convincing that person or converting that person into a booking? Are they friendly, helpful, etc.? Are they able to problem solve to find a solution that's appropriate for that patient? That's a really critical piece, and that training element is massive. It really is.
Yeah. And we have a short course. It's only $49 plus GST that's converting new patients into actual appointment times. That can help enormously. And one of the steps that we do suggest in that is even if they don't book in, get their email address with the promise of, we're going to send you out some information on the thing that you just called us about for additional information, because that email that we agree, the email address is crucial when you're capturing people when they're still in search mode and research mode and they're not ready to book in yet. If your practice will be the only one that emails them something out after a call inquiry, and then they'll be able to come back to you very easily after a few months even and say, because that great practice did actually email me out. So all of a sudden they can find your details again. And so, as you said, with every one of these aspects, you could spend a day talking about it. And it is a complex space, and making sure that we are doing the smartest possible thing in this area, especially with everything that's evolving. Look at the AI. You'll be I'm sure that's transitioning the way that you're doing things to a certain degree as well. it seems like technology is moving so fast now we have to run to catch up with it and to stay on top of it. Is that the same in this online marketing space?
It is and it isn't. Again, look, definitely AI and look, there's always something new, shiny, fangly in the marketing space that captures people's attention, 100%. But again, at the end of the day, in terms of growing the business, like I said, there are just fundamentals that if you get right, you set up well from the start. And I think the key to a lot of this is that repetition. It's that ongoing. It can't be something that you do once and then forget about. It is an ongoing process. So it's making sure that, like I said, sending out emails ideally, monthly. There's interaction and content being posted up on your social media profiles. It's all of that. Keeping an eye on how well the website's ranking. The number of practices that have no idea how they rank for someone searching for a dentist, their suburb. It's just doing the fundamentals well and consistently that, look, at the end of the day will determine how healthy your business is at the end of the day. And then any of these additional sort of tools, technologies, I guess they can just be utilised to hopefully make things a little bit easier or faster or get a little bit more leverage out of it. But fundamentally, the building blocks aren't any different. It's just most businesses don't have the time or the expertise necessarily to either do it themselves or do it regularly, which is what's required.
It certainly seems to be one of the aspects of building a successful dental practice that should be outsourced to people that are on top of all of this stuff all the time, because it's what they do all the time. So I do encourage practices to look onto your website, smilemarketing.com, have a look at the other websites, have a look at all the services that you offer. If people are interested in seeking your services, what's their best next step?
Yeah, look, certainly. Look, the best, I guess, first step would be to book in for a strategy call with us. So if you go to the website, you'll see a link there for a free 30-minute strategy call. Basically, what we'll do is we'll have a look at your existing website. We'll look at how it's ranking. We'll look at how well it's been set up from, a conversion perspective. Have a look at a few other bits and pieces online and effectively, give you some pointers and tips in terms of what's working and what's not working. So you should be able to walk away with a pretty clear idea of how well your existing online presence is set up, but also what you need to do to improve it. And again, as part of that is having a discussion around, what are your goals for the business? Where are things at? Is the goal to add another chair, pick up another 10, 20 new patients a week? Is it to focus on a particular sort of service proposition? And then from that, we can sort of give you some pointers and guidance in terms of where we think you should be focusing your time and energy. And then obviously if we can help, we'd love to. I mean, effectively, we're a one-stop shop. Everything that we've talked about, we do. So we would love the opportunity to help. But if all you do is walk away with that information and understanding of, how you're tracking currently, but also what you can do to improve that, then we're more than happy with that as well.
Beautiful. And smilemarketing.com have currently got a giveaway on as well to win a custom website and 12 months of digital marketing valued at $10,000. And I think it's through the booking of that strategy call that they enter into that draw, don't they?
Correct. So you do need to get in and have your strategy. So in order to be in the draw to win that, so basically we'll build a brand new website, we'll do an in-practice photo shoot and provide you with 12 months worth of ongoing digital marketing on our premium plan. It's actually a $15,000 AU value. That's a $10,000 US. So it's a very good prize. You can register on the website. We just need to book in and do a strategy call before the 30th of April. So there is still time. But yeah, look, certainly if that's something that you're looking at, I would strongly suggest getting in before then and having a chat to us.
Fantastic. Is there anything that we haven't mentioned or raised that you'd like to make sure everyone knows about?
Look, I think that's a pretty comprehensive covering without us spending another hour or so on the
having a workshop.
Yes.
You've been so generous with all of your expertise and wisdom around this space. You've certainly helped me enormously in terms of my understanding, and I hope that's the case with the people out there as well. And it is such a complex space. It's such an important space. It's not something that's, whether we do it or not, it's not going to make much of a difference. This can make an enormous difference. And in terms of just getting the view of expert eyes over what you're currently doing right now and getting a few tips about and a little bit more of a deeper understanding of what your online presence is like, even that step is crucial. But to recognise where the potential is. Thank you so much, Marcus. It's been highly enlightening.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you very much for having us.
Pleasure. If you enjoyed this podcast, then I encourage you to head over to Amina and my website, dentalbusinessmastery.com.au. You will find all the information that you need if you would like to gain our assistance in helping you and your team achieve great success. We've got online courses, consulting programs, the club membership. We also have a whole bunch of tools and resources that are available for free that will help you achieve your practice goals. If you would like to find out more, you can also email us directly at info@dentalbusinessmastery.com.au. Thanks so much for listening.